Hello there. On today's episode, I'm going to answer some questions that I've got on this bike since I've got it, and also show you some of the things you should do a couple of days after you get your bike. You've been riding it around, kind of bedding it in a bit, and I'm going to show you some of the things you should check and some of the things you should do, and that's it. So let's get on with it. So some of the main questions I get on this bike in particular is which size should you go for? So the way I chose my size was I went on the Canyon website and used their size calculator to determine the size of bike which I should buy, and that's exactly what I did. The Canyon calculator told me I should get the medium. This is the medium and I'm very happy with it. So my advice to you is, unless you know that you like the size up or even the size down, go with what Canyon say. I'm sure you'll be very happy with that. Another question I get on this bike is the weight. On the website it says it's 13.5 kilograms without pedals. These pedals are polymer that I've put on, so they don't actually add too much weight. And I'd say that's a fair estimate of the weight, 13.5. I've not weighed it yet, but I shall do that soon. This isn't actually a question I've been asked, but I'm going to answer it anyway. That question is, does the colour look as good in real life as it does in photos and videos? And the answer is, yeah, it actually looks even better. It's so nice. So now, moving on to a list of things that you should do after you've spent a couple of days with your brand new bike. Anyway, the first thing we should check is the trueness of the wheel. And you can do this by looking at it, simply by spinning it, getting behind the wheel, and just seeing if the wheel is moving around. This one looks absolutely dead arrow straight. Another thing you can do is, if you spin the wheel, this one's easier to do on the front because you've not got the sound of the hand. Spin the wheel and just run your fingers over the spokes, and you can find loose spokes by them sounding different. You probably won't have a problem, it's just worth a check. Another thing that's worth a check after a few days is to recheck your suspension sag, front and rear. Front especially, because you would have had to inflate that with that cheeky little pump. Once the air kind of moves between the two cylinders, your sag can change slightly. Shouldn't be too much, but say it'd probably be a difference in maybe a couple PSI. So could make a difference if you're really in tune with your bike. To me it won't make too much of a difference, but I'm going to check it anyway. We've got the shock pump that came with the bike, so we might as well have a look. And after we check the front, we can do exactly the same with the rear shock. Just make sure if you get this bike, you're reading off the front one, make sure you read off the 150mm rather than the 160, because from the factory your shocks come with 150mm of travel as opposed to 160. The 160 being there because you can change it to be a 160mm fork, but at this moment in time I'm not going to bother. If I get good on the bike and I decide that maybe I need a little bit more squidge up front, then maybe I'll give it a bit more travel. And the last thing to check is more of a broad statement. Just go give it a bolt check. Make sure the bolts are still nice and tight. If you're anything like me, especially the ones that you tightened up yourself. If you get this bike, when you put the handlebars on, the bolts at the front, the 4 bolts, should be between 4.5 and 5.5 Newton meters. And the seat post says on it that you should tighten it to 4 Newton meters. So check them, and also just go and check other bolts, even the suspension linkage bolts. Thanks for watching this short video of a little update on the Canyon Spectral AL 6.0 from 2018. I'm very much enjoying this bike. I've yet to get it out on a proper trail, but as soon as I do, you'll be the first to know. So, if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe by hitting this picture of me over here. And if you want to see more videos, you can go watch my bike playlist, which is over here. Thanks for watching. I shall see you soon.